if you walk into your bathroom or, your kitchen right now and open that one specific cabinet, you know exactly what you're going to hear.
By a plastic rattle.
Exactly. That
Hey.
familiar plastic rattle. You've probably got a shelf full of like little bottles, amber glass jars, powders, gel caps, and they're all promising to make you healthier, faster, sharper, stronger.
Right, a personal pharmacy.
Yeah, the personal pharmacy. But if you stop and really look at that collection you've built, you have to ask a fundamental biological question, which is, are those pills actually working with your body, or are they working against it?
Which is a huge question.
It is. So today, our mission for this deep dive is to look at a really fascinating promotional text that draws a massive line in the sand. It compares standard, lab-made, synthetic dietary supplements on one side with a natural, plant-based alternative called Moringa Magic on the other.
Right. And just to be totally clear, right up front, we are not here to endorse this specific product.
No, not at all.
And we're not telling you to go trash your multivitamins either.
Right. Definitely keep your vitamins for now. We just want to impartially unpack the arguments here so you can really understand the physiological debate between lab-made vitamins and whole food nutrition that this text is tapping into.
Yeah, it's really about exploring the claims in the source material.
Okay, let's unpack this. The text zeroes in on a major problem with those synthetic bottles, and it basically all boils down to one word, which is isolation.
Right. Isolation.
Like, if I eat a spinach leaf, I'm getting vitamins, sure, but I'm also getting this whole matrix of fiber, enzymes, and phytonutrients.
Exactly. The whole biological package.
Yeah. But the text argues that a lab pill completely strips that away. It just delivers the isolated chemical structure.
And the consequence of stripping away that natural matrix is what the text identifies as poor physiological utilization.
Okay, so the body just doesn't use it well?
Right. Because when we talk about isolated synthetic nutrients, we're looking at compounds that are synthesized in a lab, and, sometimes they're derived from petroleum or fermented starches.
Wow, petroleum.
Yeah. And they're designed to mimic the exact molecular geometry of a natural vitamin, like ascorbic acid for vitamin C.
Right.
But geometry isn't everything. The source text emphasizes that because these vitamins are isolated, they lack natural cofactors.
Cofactors. Break that down for us.
So in biochemistry, a cofactor is basically a helper molecule. It's a non-protein chemical compound that an enzyme actually needs to act as a catalyst.
Okay.
When you consume a vitamin in its natural state, it comes bundled with these cofactors, and they guide the nutrient through your metabolic pathways.
So it's kind of like buying a steering wheel without the car.
Oh, that's a good way to put it.
Like, sure, the steering wheel is an important part, it's the exact right shape, but it won't actually get you anywhere without the engine and the wheels. You need the whole car.
Exactly. Or, to use a cellular analogy, think of your cell receptors acting like a VIP nightclub.
Okay, I like where this is going.
An isolated synthetic vitamin is like a person trying to get into the club all by themselves. They might have the right ID, but the bouncer, the cell receptor, doesn't recognize them. So they're forced to wait in line, or they just get turned away completely.
Oh, wow. But if they show up with the whole entourage.
Yes, right. A nutrient wrapped in its natural cofactors, enzymes, and fibers arrives with the VIP host. The cell immediately recognizes that molecular signature of the whole entourage, opens the door wide, and the nutrient gets right to work.
That makes total sense. So what happens to the guy who gets turned away from the club?
Well, the metabolic cost of sending that lone person to the club is incredibly high. When your body gets an isolated synthetic vitamin, your liver essentially has to scrounge for the missing cofactors from your body's own existing reserves just to process it.
Wait, really? It actually depletes your own resources?
Yeah, according to the text, instead of a net gain, the body exerts energy and uses up other resources to metabolize this naked chemical.
Wow.
And the text points out that this leads to the biology behind the old joke about expensive urine.
Right, because you just pee it all out.
Exactly. Because the body can't process the sudden influx of isolated chemicals efficiently, your kidneys just filter out the excess and excrete it before it can even be utilized.
Man, and it goes further than just bodily waste, right? Like, the text argues that taking higher doses of these isolated synthetics can actually lead to severe nutrient imbalances.
Yeah. It does. The mechanism there is competitive inhibition.
Right, because minerals often compete for the exact same receptor pathways in the gut,
They do. They use the same transport proteins.
like the DMT1 transporter.
Exactly. So if you flood your system with a massive isolated dose of synthetic iron from like a standard multivitamin, that iron just hogs all the transport pathways.
It's just blocking the
It
gate.
literally blocks the door for other vital trace minerals like zinc or copper.
So by trying to fix one deficiency with this sledgehammer dose, you inadvertently create two new deficiencies.
Right. What's fascinating here is exactly why the text frames synthetics this way.
Yeah, why did they go so hard on them?
Well, it isn't claiming that synthetic vitamins have zero pharmacological value. The text clearly acknowledges their role in quick, targeted correction.
Okay, so they're good for emergencies.
Right. Like if a blood test reveals a severe acute deficiency, say scurvy or severe anemia, an isolated lab-made nutrient acts as a highly concentrated temporary intervention to basically pull you out of the danger zone.
Got it.
But the central thesis is that they completely fail as a holistic daily foundation. They're a targeted medical intervention masquerading as daily nutrition.
Right. So if the problem with synthetics is that the body just doesn't know how to efficiently process a naked, isolated chemical, the solution this text proposes is essentially wrapping those nutrients back up in their original biological packaging.
Yes, the whole car, not just the steering wheel.
Exactly. Enter Moringa Magic, which is built entirely around the moringa plant, and the source actually refers to it as the miracle tree.
The miracle tree, right?
Yeah. And the text leans really heavily on its nutritional profile. It contains essential vitamins like A, C, E, plus minerals like calcium and iron, and plant-based protein, and powerful antioxidants.
It's quite a lineup.
It really is. And the core argument is that it delivers these nutrients in their naturally bioavailable form. So with the enzymes, the fiber, and the cofactors all intact, just as the body recognizes and prefers.
Right. And the concept of bioavailability in this context, it refers specifically to the fraction of an ingested nutrient that actually reaches systemic circulation.
Okay, so how much actually gets into your blood?
Exactly. The text argues that because moringa is a whole plant, it utilizes a time-release mechanism governed by its natural fiber content.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah. Instead of a massive instant spike in blood serum levels that just triggers your kidneys to excrete the excess, the plant matrix dictates a slow, sustained absorption.
Oh, wow.
Furthermore, the specific antioxidants native to the moringa plant actively protect the fragile vitamins from oxidizing in your stomach.
Because the stomach is super acidic, right?
Very harsh, highly acidic environment. So it ensures they survive the journey to the lower intestine, which is where the bulk of nutrient absorption actually occurs.
Okay, I get that. I mean, the biochemical entourage makes a lot of sense, but let me push back on this just a bit based on the text's own logic.
Sure, go for it.
So the source explicitly positions Moringa Magic as real food nutrition.
Right.
If the argument is that human biology thrives on real whole food, aren't we losing the actual physical benefits of the digestive process by taking a powder or a capsule?
That's a fair point.
Like chewing, the mechanical breakdown of cell walls, the saliva starting the enzymatic breakdown. Isn't putting green powder in water just, I don't know, another form of biological shortcutting? If we want real food, shouldn't we just eat a massive salad instead of replacing lab pills with a different kind of jarred supplement?
That is a great pushback, and it raises an important question about the intersection of evolutionary biology and, well, modern lifestyle constraints.
Right.
Because the text doesn't shy away from the fact that it is a condensed format. Instead, it really positions this product as a necessary compromise.
A compromise. Okay.
Yeah. The modern human digestive tract evolved over millions of years to extract trace nutrients from massive amounts of fibrous plant matter. We are physiologically engineered to process large volumes of foliage.
Like grazing all day.
Exactly. However, the text points out the sheer hassle and logistical impossibility of sourcing, preparing, and consuming that perfectly balanced volume of nutrient-dense flora every single day.
Right. Nobody has time to eat 5 pounds of leaves.
Right, especially in a modern industrialized society. So the product is meant to be a convenient foundation. It's framed as maintaining the critical biochemical matrix, the cofactors and enzymes, while conceding the mechanical aspects of chewing just for the sake of convenience. It's simpler than juggling 5 to 6 different pills every morning.
Here's where it gets really interesting, though, because the text puts these two paradigms into a direct head-to-head physiological comparison.
It does. Synergy versus isolation.
Exactly. So if we map out a nutrient's actual journey through the human body, the text highlights 5 key differences between the synthetic approach and the whole food synergy approach.
Right, starting with composition, which we covered, the natural synergy of moringa versus the chemically isolated synthetic missing its supporting compounds.
Yeah. And then absorption. Let's start right at the moment of ingestion. You swallow a standard synthetic multivitamin, it hits your stomach, the capsule dissolves, and suddenly there is a 1,000% daily value explosion of isolated ascorbic acid and synthesized minerals just sitting in your gastric acid.
It's a huge shock to the system.
Yeah. The human gut simply wasn't engineered for that kind of sudden, concentrated molecular payload.
And the physiological response to that concentrated payload often manifests as gastrointestinal distress.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Because synthetic vitamins are often highly concentrated salts, they have an osmotic effect. They draw excess water into the digestive tract.
Oh, is that why people get nauseous from multivitamins?
Yes, exactly. That is the primary mechanism behind the stomach cramps and nausea many people experience after taking a multivitamin on an empty stomach. The body perceives this sudden influx as an osmotic imbalance and basically tries to flush it out.
Yikes. Okay.
Conversely, the whole food approach of moringa works with the body. It introduces the nutrients gradually. The fiber matrix requires the stomach's digestive juices to work through the material, slowly liberating the nutrients in a steady drip that the intestinal lining can actually manage.
Right, without triggering a defensive flush.
Exactly.
So that's the third difference, the health benefits. Once we move past the gut lining and into the bloodstream, the text contrasts the systemic impacts. The synthetic approach targets one single biological metric like raising iron or spiking vitamin D. It's playing a solo instrument.
Right, highly targeted.
But the whole food synergy approach is like a full symphony orchestra. It triggers cascading physiological pathways. The text highlights that moringa provides holistic support for daily energy, heart health, digestion, gut balance, and antioxidant protection all at once.
Because the body receives a balanced ratio of vitamins, minerals, and amino acids, it can allocate those resources across multiple systems.
Right. You aren't just forcefully adjusting one dial on the dashboard. You're providing the fuel for the entire engine.
Which brings us to the fourth difference: side effects. The myopic nature of the synthetic approach leads directly to higher risks. We discussed competitive inhibition earlier, but the text also warns of toxicity from accumulation.
Oh, right, because some vitamins build up.
Yes, certain synthetic vitamins, specifically fat-soluble ones like vitamin A and E, do not easily flush from the system if you take too much.
So they just sit there.
They accumulate in hepatic tissue, your liver, which leads to hypervitaminosis, because they're isolated and lack the natural regulatory feedback loops provided by whole foods.
Wow.
But the text portrays the moringa approach as gentle. Because it's food-based, your body's natural satiety and absorption limits remain intact, drastically lowering the risk of accidental toxicity.
And then zooming out from the microscopic level to the macro level, the fifth difference is sustainability. The text makes a compelling argument that the industrial production of synthetic vitamins is heavily reliant on petrochemicals, huge energy consumption, and chemical solvent extraction.
It's a full-on pharmaceutical manufacturing process.
Yeah. Whereas the plant-based approach relies on regenerative agriculture, so it's eco-friendly. The text is ultimately arguing that alignment with nature shouldn't just happen inside the gut. It should happen in the supply chain as well.
That's a great point.
But I have to ask, despite this total dismantling of the lab-made approach, does the text claim synthetics are completely useless?
No, the text is actually careful to draw a firm boundary there. The verdict is clear. If you are facing a severe, acute deficiency that threatens immediate physiological function, the targeted, highly concentrated nature of a synthetic isolate is a valid medical tool.
Right, so like we said earlier, an emergency fix.
Exactly. It's the sprint required to get you out of danger. However, the text firmly argues that for daily health, homeostatic balance, and long-term vitality, plant-based nutrition wins. The marathon of daily wellness is won by whole foods.
So what does this all mean? When I analyze the underlying psychology of this promotional text, it feels like it's tapping into a massive reservoir of pill fatigue.
Oh, absolutely. Pill fatigue is huge.
Right. Like, we are all essentially playing amateur pharmacokineticists every morning.
Yes.
We stand in our kitchens trying to calculate if the calcium in pill A is going to inhibit the absorption of the magnesium in pill B, or, if we need to take pill C with dietary fat so it actually dissolves.
It's exhausting just thinking about it.
It is. So I wonder, is the appeal of this product driven more by the sheer psychological exhaustion of guessing which nutrients you need,
Yeah.
rather than just the biochemistry?
If we connect this to the bigger picture, I think you're spot on. The text is masterfully leveraging a broader cultural shift in how modern people conceptualize wellness.
How so?
Well, for decades, the paradigm was anti-disease. We viewed health through a deficit model. Find the specific biological metric that is low and forcefully, artificially inflate it with a targeted pill.
Just fix the deficiency.
Right. But the text identifies a transition toward pro-vitality. The core realization driving this growing shift toward natural whole food supplementation is that optimal health isn't about taking more pills. It's about better nourishment. The goal isn't just to fix efficiencies anymore. It's to feel better, stay energized, and support the body daily.
It's offering a psychological sigh of relief, then. The subtext is basically, stop trying to outsmart millions of years of evolutionary biology with a chemistry set.
Exactly.
By promising a single natural blend that acts as a comprehensive foundation, it aims to eliminate both the physiological imbalance caused by synthetic isolates and the mental fatigue of your morning pill juggling routine. You don't have to calculate the cofactor ratios because the plant already did the math for you.
Right. It combines convenience with biology perfectly. The modern wellness consumer is seeking a foundation their body inherently understands. The digestive tract evolved to deconstruct complex organic matter, not to metabolize isolated synthetic salts.
Right.
So by returning the responsibility of nutrient delivery to a whole food matrix, the text argues that we align our daily habits with our fundamental biology, which allows the body to focus its energy on cellular repair and energy production rather than, triage and excretion.
Man, that's a powerful way to frame it. So, to briefly summarize the journey of this deep dive today, the source material draws a really clear divide between two very different philosophies of human health.
Right.
On one side, we have the synthetic approach, isolated artificial compounds that mimic natural structures but lack the crucial biochemical entourage. And while they are effective as temporary targeted interventions, they risk poor utilization and metabolic strain when you use them as a daily staple.
And then on the other side.
Right. On the other side, we have plant-based whole food nutrition, championed in the text by Moringa Magic. This approach delivers a complex matrix of cofactors, natural fiber, and enzymes that cellular receptors immediately recognize, allowing for gentle, holistic support.
My final note on this, the overarching thesis the text leaves us with, is that the simplest solution is often the best. Amidst all the complex artificial formulas and industrial creations, the most biologically efficient solution is the one our bodies spent millennia adapting to. Give your body real nutrition from real sources.
It definitely forces you to view that rattling medicine cabinet through a completely different biological lens. But as we wrap up, I want to leave you, the listener, with a final provocative thought, something that builds on everything we've explored today.
I'm curious.
So the text relies heavily on the premise that our bodies evolved to perfectly process natural whole foods, right?
Right.
But right now, human beings are genetically engineering or, aggressively cultivating cider plants designed to be exponentially more nutrient-dense than nature ever originally intended.
That's true.
So if we engineer a single leaf of a plant to hold 1,000 times its natural vitamin capacity, will the physiological line between a natural plant and a lab-created supplement eventually blur completely?
Oh, wow. That's a great question.
Right. At what point does an aggressively engineered whole food matrix trigger the same osmotic overload in the gut as a synthetic pill? Where does the miracle tree end and human bioengineering begin in the future of our food? We encourage you to keep questioning the complex mechanisms behind what you put in your body. We'll see you on the next Deep Dive.